Hey guys, Lovey Freeman here, and today we're going to be playing some more Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich mod. And I think today we're going to play as the Kaiserreich, the Germans there. So last time we played as the Commune of France, and I think we had a pretty good game. We were in control the whole time, and we managed to pretty much defeat all our enemies. So this time we're going to try the Germans, and I'll just go ahead and get in there. So the Germans are a little bit more tricky to play than the French. I guess they got a lot more things going on. So to start off, I'll take a look again at our the usual things, see what our position is. So we've got in the Reichspakt, which is Germany's team, we've got ourselves, we've got our Eastern European puppets over here, we've got the Moroccans, we've got the Middle Africa over here, and then over on the in the Pacific, we've got German East Asia as a puppet over there, and they've got a lot of rubber and tungsten in East Asia, and then we've also got the island of Ceylon over here. And this island, Ceylon, is like a little bit more important than you might think. 'Cause you get 89 rubber from this province, which is pretty nice when you're trying to make aircraft. In terms of how things usually play out for Germany, so Germans, of course, are going to be defending against the revanchist French over here. So the French are probably going to declare war on us, and we're going to have to react to it. And usually at around the same time or not long after, the Russians over here right now they have to pay us war reparations and whatnot from the First World War, and they're going to also have a bit of revanchism. They're going to try to come back, and they're going to kind of declare war on us. They're going to try and sweep through Eastern European puppets, and it's going to be a rough time. You're going to get kind of sandwiched, and the Germans, if you follow Kaiserreich, got a pretty hefty nerf recently, where that the Black Monday event that comes in and kind of wrecks your economy really sticks around, and it stings a lot longer than it used to. You're kind of bent over here, and you got the Russians smacking you in the face with a vodka bottle, and you got the French trying to give you a spanking with a week old baguette. So it's like not a great position to be in. And sort of at the same time, the Japanese over here, they got their eyes set on our colonies, along with the other East Asians, and they're going to try and kick us out over here and put an end to our imperialist dreams over here in Asia. So the Germans have got a lot of problems. They're going to have a lot of things going on that they're going to have to deal with. So let's take a look over here at our laws and whatnot. So we've got limited conscription, which again that's not a bad one to be on. That's one of the better ones to start with. We've got export-focused trade law, which I think most people usually start on, so that's nice to have. And we're on toaster economy, which kind of sucks. But again, unless you're playing like a country that's in a particularly good position, usually you start on toaster economy. Our government, we've got Franz von Papen over here, and this guy is like really not good. And -4 construction is not worth that political power that you get. Again, this guy doesn't really matter. Same ideology, monthly opinions, not a big deal. We've got our bank president over here. This guy's good, but he's kind of canceled out by Franz over here, so we don't really get that much benefit from having him. And this guy over here, division org -4%, not great. So we're getting a bunch of political power from these guys, and that's basically it. These guys aren't great on the authoritarian democratic team. Military staff. It's nice that we start off with these guys. Not a whole lot of people start off with them, and we've also got the Red Baron over here. So that's that's pretty good modifier on this guy over here. Like attack is good, and agility is really good for your fighters on air superiority and interception. But if you've played Germany before, and I'm not as confident on the Kaiserreich as I am on the French. Like I've played the German campaign before, but not as extensively, and I haven't tried out as many different things as I have with the French. But if you've played before, you're going to know that you're going to get an event pretty early on, and this guy's going to retire, and this guy unfortunately dies on you. So they're nice to see you over here in the beginning, but you're not really going to get to keep them. Ruling party right now is authoritarian Democrat at 42%. So that's average. Like our political power situation right now is pretty good because we've got these guys over here and 42% popularity. So that's nice. And then we're going to look at our national spirits here. So Victors of the Weltkrieg, this is absolutely awful. So you're going to get -70% doctrine research speed. And that kind of puts doctrine in that spot where it's not really worth it to research at negative 70%, which is unfortunate because you always, if you can start doctrine right away, you pretty much always want to be on doctrine all game. Like, you don't want to be behind on your doctrine, but when you're playing the Germans, your choice is either you're going to eat a whole bunch of extra research or you're going to have to clear this before you start working on your doctrine. So that's right away, that's horrible. You have quenched militarism, which is like another awful national spirit. So we're losing 0.7% recruitable population factor. And you'll kind of see that that's why our manpower right now is so bad right now. It's because we're losing 0.7%, like a considerable portion of our conscription laws manpower is being sucked up by this national spirit. And then we have, in addition to that, we have negative 25% recruitable population factor. So if you look at your manpower box over here, you're going to see that your recruitable population is like a percentage of your available population, and then your recruitable population factor is a modifier on that percentage. So they're two different things. And like, if you have the same recruitable population factor, the higher your recruitable population law is, then the more that factor is going to do for you. And sort of likewise for the reverse, if you have a negative modifier, then the more it hurts, the higher that number is going to be. So it's like a modifier on your modifier. It's a bit weird, but they're not the same stat. And division recovery rate minus 20%. So if you lose organization, it's going to take you longer to recover. I mean, that's really bad to have in your field. And then war support minus 30%. So our war support right now is like completely in the gutter, and we're like pretty far away from being able to get to even advance our economy laws. So we can't even go into partial right now. And then we have imperial pride, surrender limit plus 10%. Like, if you're getting to the point where this is going to be like helpful, probably your campaign's in a pretty bad spot. So I mean, this is nice to have, but it's not something that you rate pretty highly as a national spirit. So right away, these are not great, and they're kind of showing the problems that you're going to have when you're playing Germany. So up here, political power, you're getting decent political power. Party popularity, average. Stability actually pretty good at 60%, but that's not going to last. War support pretty terrible. Manpower, we talked about that, pretty terrible. Factory count 119. I don't think anyone is going to have more factories than that's right now at this point in the game. 119, I think, is the strongest start in the economy, and it's like twice the size of the French. So that's quite good. And unfortunately, again, you see this number and you think, wow, Germany's going to be great. Who cares about all this stuff? We're just going to have this awesome industry. But, of course, anyone who's played Kaiserreich before knows that you're going to get hammered by Black Monday, and, you're going to be crippled. This is going to give you, like, pretty much nothing, when Black Monday hits pretty early on. So fuel situation, like right now, I think that says 34, but I think we're going to get more than that once the game starts. We've got some oil rights in Azerbaijan, but right away, fuel economy much better than we were in France. Like, you're going to have access to a lot of oil. Your storage capacity, 179.3K, is a bit low. We're probably going to want to build some fuel silos to smooth out our whole oil consumption and production to match that to like the peaks when we send our Kaiserliche Marine out to fight people and whatnot. So we're still going to want to have some fuel storage, but oil, and then because of our location, we're kind of like in the middle of Europe. We can get oil from Azerbaijan, we can get oil from the Middle East, and it's not going to be too much of a problem for the moment. We'll talk about that in a bit, but oil is in a much less precarious situation than the International for Germany. So we've got 398 convoys and the usual 0 experience. So decisions. I think this is all pretty much your stock decisions. You get an option to invade Denmark if you're at war under certain conditions. If you want to do that, like, I don't know. Personally, I don't think I've ever taken that decision. But if you want a free kill on Denmark, then whatever, that's fine. The stuff same as the French. Everyone has access to these. Those are like your stock decisions for fixing your stuff over here. You can take the German East Asian Navy from our colonial government over here. So German East Asia starts with like a pretty strong navy, and if you want it, you're allowed to take it from that decision. I don't think I'm going to do that though. Like, I think I'll talk about my strategy later, but I don't think I'm really going to. I think I'm just going to let this play out how it plays out in German East Asia, and then you get the Legation Council. So the Legation Council is like the Entente and the the imperialist powers have rights in these cities over here in China. These little blue dots over here that you see, there's a bunch of them, and they're kind of ruled by an international coalition. So there are certain events that pop up, and that's like kind of like enough, like a nice fluff thing that you can vote on the things that happen, and things that are relevant to these cities over here. But I think strategically, like this doesn't really, it's not really all that like important strategically. And then colored puppets, again the usual colored puppet decisions. So I'm not going to take those. Intelligence agency again. The Germans do start with an intelligence agency, which is nice. And I think this time around I might play around with this a bit more and try and do some blueprint stealing. And we'll see how that works out for us. But see the agency upgrades, they cost civilian factories, and when you have like pretty rough construction speed modifiers and whatnot, which I think we're going to have from Black Monday, then this gives you something to spend your civilian factories on. And also kind of like when you're on toaster economy too, anyways, and you can't really build factories except at minus 30% construction speed, then this is another thing that you can spend your factories on and get maybe more value out of them than you would otherwise. So research slots, we've got 4 research slots, which is again pretty standard for a major. Land research, so we've got the basic, or the guidance up to 1936. We've got motorized. We've got armored cars, which is I don't think I'm going to make any armored cars. Maybe for garrisons later on if we have to. We might get some armored cars for losing a lot of manpower, and we get Marines and Mountaineers. So again, this is pretty good. Not a whole lot of people are going to have more than this. I don't think anyone gets more than this to start. So this is like pretty much as good as it gets for land. We've got support equipment, engineers, and recon. So again, pretty good. Tanks, again, we've got light tanks and heavy tanks. We got our choice which way we want to go down. The 1934 level. Artillery, so we've got artillery and the anti-air, which again I think is pretty standard for a major. I think most majors get anti-air now, but it is nice that we start with some anti-air. And it looks like someone else in their faction already has the anti-tank 1936, because we can research it for a bit of a discount. Doctrine, again, no doctrine. We can pick whichever doctrine we want, but if we look on our national focus tree, we've got Grand Battle Plan and Mobile Warfare. So because you're going to have to come down this tree to get your remove your victors of the Welcraig Spirit to start researching your doctrines, you're going to do this probably pretty quickly, and it's a waste, especially if you're going to be behind as we are on doctrines, not to pick Grand Battle Plan or Mobile Warfare. And I think of the two, probably we're going to go with Mobile Warfare, so we can get the tank research bonus, but that's that. So unfortunately, superior firepower, which is a really strong doctrine for single player against CAI, I don't think it's gonna be worth it to take that. And mass assault, I don't really think we would want to be playing mass assault as Germany. Like this stuff would help with the supply for going into Russia, but I don't think that's again, we don't get any bonuses for it, and I don't think it's going to be as good as we're going to get from Mobile Warfare. Naval stuff, so we've got the 1936 ship hulls, we have dreadnoughts, we got like some armor schemes over here, level 2 torpedoes, and we got some mines as well. So we are missing a bit of stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have sonar, we don't have smoke screens. Looks like a couple people in their faction do though. And we do have a level 2 improved ammunition as Germany, so this is a pretty nice buff to get. So overall, naval stuff, pretty good. Naval doctrine, and again, if we look back on our national focus tree for Navy, we're going to have a choice. We can either go with Donuts over here, and he's going to get us Fleet and Being, or we can go with Patzig and Raider over here. They're going to give us Base Strike. So those are sort of our choices, which again is a little bit frustrating because trade interdiction is kind of like the best naval doctrine if you want to fight, because you're going to get these techs over here for your visibility. And if you want to do sub spam, then trade interdiction obviously has like the best submarine buffs. But our choices are going to be Fleet and Being or Base Strike. Base Strike is for carriers. We don't start with very many good carriers. Like I think the carriers we'll get when we look at our navy are kind of like tinier ones, and not that impressive like you get as if you're playing like Union Britain or anything like that. And Fleet and Being's main thing is that you're going to get pretty good destroyer sub detection and escort efficiency down this path. So All in all, I don't think we're going to invest into carriers, so probably we're going to go with the fleet and being. Air for Germany is quite good. Like, there's not a whole lot that we're missing. We're missing the heavy fighter, and heavy fighters usually aren't something I'm going to pick anyway, so that doesn't quite hurt us. And we're missing the scout plane, but we've got 1936 everything else, so that's much better than the Commune of France. And we've got again, I'm not really going to be using carriers, but we do get carrier close air support and carrier naval bomber 1936 to start. We do not get the fighter though. So when you're looking at the heavy fighter is it's a little bit more industrial cost, but it costs only 2 aluminum compared to a regular fighter, which costs 3. The big difference between the two of them is the heavy fighter is going to have like a much longer range. Like this has got 1,300 kilometers over here. This only got 700 kilometers. So you've got almost twice the range on the heavy fighter. And the heavy fighter is going to give you 1.25 air superiority on that mission, and this is going to give you only 1. So heavy fighters, because they're going to have higher mission efficiency offensively with the range and the higher air superiority over here, is like if you look at for the amount of air superiority you're going to get from the planes because of that, you're going to get more air superiority cheaper with the heavy fighters. But the big problem with the heavy fighters, if you look at them, they've got agility 25. And a fighter over here, like on the same tier level, is going to have an agility of 50, so like twice the agility. And agility, if you have higher agility than your opponent, you're going to do much better in combat with them. So if you actually have to dogfight and like contest air superiority against enemy fighters, heavy fighters are going to get shredded by fighter ones for the same number of them in the sky, right? So like heavy fighters, if you're like maybe you're like in China or something like that, and you're like the only person who's going to have planes and you want to invest into air, then this is going to be more cost effective to get that because you just get more air superiority and you don't have to dogfight anything, so this doesn't really matter. But if you're going to have to fight the enemy air force, and heavy fighters are kind of they're not really worth it compared to the fighter unless you really need the range. Air doctrine, again with our focus tree, if you look at our air stuff. So battlefield support or strategic destruction. And this is kind of a weird one because on battlefield support, if you want to get your fighter research bonus, and fighters are kind of like your most important plane, you have to get battlefield support. And battlefield support, of course, is your close air support doctrine. So if we go for the strategic destruction tech, and again, we talked about the trees in the France game, but the strategic destruction is going to give you better fighter and air superiority benefits than battlefield support. But we don't get any fighter research bonus if we go with strategic destruction. Instead we're going to get for heavy fighters, which we just talked about, they're not as great. And we also get some naval bombers here. So this is a bit silly, and not really ideal. Like ideally we want strategic destruction and the fighter buff, but we can't get that. But if we do go for strategic distraction, if you come down over here, you're going to get this national spirit, and this is pretty good with the production cost debuff. So fighters are 10% cheaper. So that's quite strong if you're gonna make a lot of fighters for air. I think all your air is just cheaper, and you get bonus ace generation chance. So this is like a really strong spirit. You can only get that if you go down the strategic distraction route here. And again, our doctrine, because we're going to be so behind from this like shit national spirit here, we can't really afford to be wasting those bonuses, so probably we're going to go strategic destruction and just hard research our fighter, I think, is probably the play. Engineering, we get the electromechanical engineering. Not a whole lot of people start with more than that, so you're a major, we get it, that feels good. And industry, all we get are fuel storage. We don't get the synthetics or the refining one that you get if you're playing the French, or I think the British get that too. And if you look at this is a 236-day technology. So luckily we have, like I said, we have overland access to oil. So we're not going to hopefully need to go down this route at all. Although we are still going to want to get some fuel refining just so that we get more fuel from the oil that we do have. And again, no one starts with this stuff. So that's like our situation on the research. So diplomacy for the Germans. We've got a lot more people that like us than the French do. We're pretty well respected in the real stage for now. And if you see all this over here, these are all of our puppets. You got the Flanders Wallonians over here, and then we've got the Lithuanians, Middle Africa, Morocco, all these guys we talked about. These two guys over there in the East Wall, and we have military access to a bunch of places too. So we're going to have military access to a lot of the stuff in the Caucasus. So we're going to have Don Kuban Union. We've got military access to Georgia and Azerbaijan. And again, we're also guaranteeing their independence thing as well. Yeah, so we're guaranteeing the independence of the Caucasus as well. And that's important because the Russians are going to try and take this oil from us. And if they get down over to here and they take us out there, and then like the Egyptians win and they can go to war over us for the Suez Canal, like the Egyptians might seize the Suez. And if that happens, we're going to get cut off, and then our fuel situation starts to look pretty dire. So that's something we got to be wary of. And I think we're also guaranteeing the independence of the legation cities over here, and like so are a lot of other Entente and other factions over there. Finland, we've got military access and non-aggression pact. Poland, we've got military access, and the Austrians, we have a non-aggression pact. So there's that. So we do have a little bit more going on than we did as the French. So for trade, we got some oil over here, and like I don't think this is. It says we have 118 oil from Baku right now, so I'm not sure if that's popping up or not. I don't think so. So we've got 3 here from exported and 32 that we've got just at the start of the game that we're importing. So I think when the game starts, we're going to get that oil that we have rights for, I think. So that'll fix our oil situation. We have tons of fuel. We've also got aluminum, not quite as much as some of the other places, but we do have like a pretty decent stockpile of aluminum. We got a little bit of rubber. Like again, we got that place in Ceylon there that we have as kind of like a colonial state here. It produces a bunch of rubber. Unfortunately, because this is a colonial state, we don't have access to all of it. Ceylon over here, yeah. So they're at 70% compliance, but we don't have access to the entirety of that 84 rubber. Tungsten, no tungsten. We've got 4 tungsten, just like a little bit amount, but I think what we're producing, we've got a few factories and artillery right now. So we've got like a really insignificant amount of tungsten. Not really too much there. We've got a whole truckload of steel here. So steel is not going to be a problem for us. And then we've got like an itty bitty bit of chrome. Construction. We got again, we talked about that. We got quite a bit of civilian factories, but we're going to get hit by Black Monday, and that's going to kind of go away. Production. So I think for production, like we don't like these aren't like obsolete planes, so you could make it wouldn't be unreasonable to build them if you wanted them, but I don't think we're gonna need we're gonna need other stuff more than planes right now. I think I will keep the line of fighters, and we'll see. I might want one of these things over here. So support artillery. I'm going to switch a bunch of our guys over when we look at our army. So we are probably going to want to keep that right now. And then we're probably going to want some support equipment. And another one on motorized. So we need another 5 factories. Yeah, so I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother with these planes here. And we're just going to go like that and maybe pull 1 factory off rifles so we can start building some light tanks. And we're going to go like that. And again, with the production, so support equipment, we're just going to leave that on these all game. We're going to get lots of. Unfortunately, Black Monday is going to screw with this a bit, but we're going to have our efficiency on this, and we're going to stockpile that. Fighter ones are going to help us in the air war, and then when we switch these over to our newer model fighter, we'll still get to retain some of this efficiency. So that's okay. Motorized again, we're going to be building that all game. Rifles one, this is going to be relevant for a pretty long time, so let's leave these here, not touch them. And same with towed artillery. Like this is like a bit more factories, and I'd like to invest in towed artillery right now, but we don't really have a huge stockpile of them. We have a lot of divisions, so towed artillery is pretty cost effective. And we'll take a look at our template and I'll show you why. But this is pretty cost effective to have for the attack that you get out of it. So we might pull some factories off this later once we start getting a stockpile, but 3 is fine for now. And the light tank ones, like, they're a little bit obsolete, but we're going to want to have some for our volunteer units. And if we have some early wars, we're going to want to make use of our tanks. And unfortunately with Germans, I think I'm going to go with the heavy tanker out on these guys. We won't be picking up light tank 2 tech, so we'll be sticking on light tank 1. But this will give us pretty good amount of tanks on that production efficiency for volunteers, and if we have to go stomp out some rebellions over here. Recruit and deploy, like I'm not going to train anything with our current manpower, but we can talk about our template. So militia, I think we're using that for a garrison right now, so we can't delete it, but militia aren't like great units even when they're at 18 width. It's like the difference between like a militia unit and an infantry unit over here is you see this is equipment 1350 on the infantry, and this is equipment 675 on your militia. You can kind of see 27 soft attack, 54 soft attack. So even though these guys have like the same manpower, 1350, 1350, these guys have half the guns and they have kind of half the attack and like not quite half the defense, but like significantly lower defense than these guys do. So unless you're like have a ton of manpower and you're trying to like farm more score by having a bunch of guys die, or you just need like to spam a whole bunch of sheep divisions, and you have the manpower to kind of make that worth it, then militia are kind of like a questionable pick as to why you would ever want them, just because again they have half the attack for the same amount of manpower. So like they're a really bad manpower investment. Panzer division. So this is like make that elite. This is like an okay Panzer division, like in terms of like the starting things that people get. Like we have motorized recon as opposed to cavalry recon, which is nice. Engineers and artillery are pretty good support companies. But this is a 12 width, and if you remember, as the French, you started with a 20 width. So a French armored division is going to be considerably stronger than this Panzer division, and we're going to have to fix that. Artillery division with artillery. This is like your bog standard 18 width with an artillery that everyone starts with. And if you look at the stats of like this unit versus the one that doesn't have it, so like this is 54 soft attack, and this is 67. Oh, this is not the right division. That was 54 soft attack, and when you add the artillery, you got 69 soft attack. So you're getting like a pretty decent increase in your soft attack performance, and you're only paying like 12 artillery pieces for this. So if you look at your production costs over here, like not that much for a pretty decent upgrade in your soft attack. So usually it's worth it to get support artillery, even if it's only at the first level. So we'll give these guys, we'll change this to the rifle icon, just so that when we sort our army out, we can see what we have a bit easier. Infantry division with a tank. So this is, I'll give them this symbol. This is like, I think people usually call them like a Space Marine division or something like that. And what that is, it's a mixed infantry and armor unit. And if you don't have like a whole lot of tanks and you're pretty poor and you need to have something to push with, what you can do is you can try something like this. Heavy tanks are going to give you more bang for your buck, but the general idea is that you're gonna have like 1 or 2 tank units in here, like you can add like another one of these and like replace an infantry with like 2 tanks or something like that. That's gonna be more effective, but you're gonna wind up with like 76 breakthrough on that for like only 2 tanks, and again the 69 attack on a unit with artillery over here. So something like that with the extra tank in there will get you enough breakthrough to block all of that, and that'll let you attack a lot cheaper. Like you're not going to take as many casualties attacking with that. And then also, if you have something like this, you're going to get armor 4.2, and these guys have piercing 4.4, so not quite. I think if you had the better model of light tank, like the light tank 2, you'd be able to block that. But certainly having an armor bonus, even if you don't have enough breakthrough or whatnot, having that bonus is going to make you take half organization damage and do another additional organization damage. So you're going to fight a lot better with that armor bonus if you can get it. So that's like kind of the idea over here. Is you're going to make your infantry unit better at attacking by splashing some tanks into it, either to get breakthrough, and like I said, you're probably going to need more than 1. But if you get like 2 light tanks in there, that'll let you attack a lot easier. And if you've got the better model tank, you can get the armor bonus. Or like if you have like a heavy tank over here, and these are pretty bad heavy tanks, but if you get like the higher heavy tanks, like now your armor, unless 20 to 5.9, breakthrough 63. So you got something like this, and you can like kind of push into units of infantry without taking too much damage, because you block quite a bit of their attack, and you're also going to get the armor bonus. Like the piercing of these guys isn't going to scratch 25.9 armor. So if you don't know what to do when you're poor and you can't build the proper tank division, you can try an approach like that where you just throw a little bit of tanks, and you can do it that approach. Like you can add more tanks into this and remove infantry and swap these guys over. So you can make like a spearhead unit and swap it over for like a poor country early game that needs to attack, and you'll wind up taking a lot less damage pushing through like that. Again, you don't want to attack with like bog standard units like this a whole lot because your breakthrough is just so terrible, and you're going to take a lot of damage when you do that. So we got that. We've got guard infantry divisions. This is just 9 guys with an engineering company, so probably not as useful as I mean this is good, but it's going to be pretty expensive in terms of support equipment to get right now. So I think we're going to go with the artillery guys as our base template. We only have 1 factory. I think we put more onto it, yeah. So eventually we're going to want to have both of those companies, the engineers and the support artillery. I think he's got the shovel. What's the shovel icon? There it is. So you could use either or as your starting point, but I think we're just going to go with the artillery division. So this is only 717. This is 802, and with again the less soft attack. Entrenchment will make up for that though. Motorized division, 6 motorized and a panzer. Not great. Again, breakthrough 44 even with a tank because there's only a few units in here, and attack 69 is gonna get through that. So these aren't going to be particularly helpful. We'd much rather have a panzer division like this. So, cavalry division, kind of same deal. This is just going to be like the motorized, but slower. It's cavalry. Alson's Festoon Commando or whatever. This is like a 12 with garrison, and usually this is pretty rough. Like you don't really want to be fielding these, again because they're tiny. They're going to have worse stats, but in terms of like a colonial garrison unit that's probably not going to be fighting all that much anyways, and we've got a manpower. Manpower situation's not great. We don't have a stockpile, and we're going to get hit by Black Monday. Like I'll probably just keep these guys around to hold their positions. Marines. Yeah, 4 Marines. Again, this is like a pretty trashy unit. I think we only have 1 of these to start with, but that's kind of like a shit template. And Mountaineers. Again, 12 with Mountaineers. No. Right? This is just a bad unit, so we can just delete that. We're just going to get rid of that right now. And our logistics. So we are a little bit short in tungsten, not going to trade for that. We don't really have any considerable stockpiles of anything either. So, army. Toss these guys together, we'll see what we got here. Alright, so we got 3 units on level 5 veteran status actually, so that's quite nice. Of the 18 with infantry with engineers. 26 units are just bog standard 18 with infantry, including, it looks like 1 unit over here that has pretty high experience. 28 units of infantry, 18 with the artillery. We've got again one elite unit over here, and 6 units total of the. I think this was a 14 with cavalry and with a tank. 3 units of motorized, again 14 with the trucks and the tank. And we got 5 units of these guys over here, and this is going to be our 18 with infantry with the tank. So we're going to group all of our infantry together, and we're just going to flip all these guys over to have. Yeah, this one over here, infantry with artillery. We're gonna get some tanks in doing that. Is that everything? Yeah, so we'll have that. And then cav and motorized. Probably at some point we're gonna want to rearrange these to have into, like I said, into the Panzer division. Like we don't want, yeah, we don't want these really. They're not that great. These guys also not that great. These will be better for attacking than like a regular infantry unit will be, because you're going to get some armor and some breakthrough, especially against like some third world countries and whatnot. But we're going to want actual tank divisions, and we're going to want some experience to make those divisions a bit tougher. So we'll go with that for now, and we still have like a couple extra guys over here, so we'll just assign these to these can be our colonial garrisons. Here, and we'll give them the green anchor here. So over here, that's a 12 width garrison template. A couple of 12 width garrison templates there. Another 12 width garrison. Morocco, another 12 width garrison. More of the same over here. We got a little. And you do this, you can see kind of like the areas that we have overseas as well too. Like we got this port over here, which is nice. These guys over here, and I'm just going to convert these guys over to a 12 width garrison. I don't need to be wasting special forces cap on like a four battalion marine unit over here in Morocco. That's a bit of a waste. And that's pretty much it for our army. So overall we got a whole lot of units. A whole lot of units over here, but manpower situation not great, and it's going to take us a while to catch up on our logistics after converting that over. Air Force, we got a pretty tiny Air Force given our size actually. Like I said, I usually like to disband my planes except for on the carriers. So we'll take a look at that after, but I don't think we've got that many planes. So that's a bit of a disappointment, but again, a lot of those I think are older models, and we're mainly just going to be using those for volunteers. Navy. So as Germany, you have like a pretty big navy. I think we have like the largest starting navy in the game. And just like right off the bat, I'm just going to order these guys to I'll meet up in Wilhelmshaven, and we'll have these guys merge. And we can kind of take stock of that a little bit later. But quite a bit. 349 ships. We've got a pretty big navy. And I think that's it for taking stock. So let's deal with our constructions first. I'm going to build a few. Again, we're on toaster economy, so building factories right now is a bit of waste. I think I'm going to go with about 10 fuel silos. There's 7, 2, and 3. So we'll do that first and see where that gets us. And we're going to get hit by Black Monday, so we're not going to have like a whole lot of factories available. But once we start clearing those debuffs, we're going to start building civs. And then once we get our our models of tank that we want to produce, actually research, we're going to want to start building some military factories, start producing those things. And dockyards. So we're going to build some convoys. We're probably going to need some convoys. We got a lot of overseas stuff and whatnot. And then we're just going to make some destroyers and some cruisers. Sorry, not that cruiser. We want escort cruisers. Bremen Clay. These look like they're the same. So do something like that. So destroyers, again, like the cruisers will fight a whole lot better than the destroyer does in the surface battles, but they're a lot more expensive than a destroyer is. So you still need to keep up your screening efficiency, and you still need to escort your convoys and stuff. So it's destroyers are probably the ship that you're going to build most games, unless you're doing like a submarine strategy. And let's look at our national focus tree. I don't think we talked a little bit about that, but not a whole lot. So German national focus tree, like right away when you start going through this, you're going to look at this compared to like the tree we had as the French. You're going to see that Germany kind of definitely gets like at the shorter end of the stick a little bit compared to the French. Like the French, we got everything that we wanted, and it was great. And the Germans kind of not so much. So we got our political tree over here, and you can either go democratic or you can go status quo with the authoritarian democracy, or you can go this route over here with Kurt von Schleyer's Camarilla and go paternal autocrat. So if you look at our Black Monday tree, first of all, we should talk about this a little bit first. So like the Black Monday tree is kind of like how you clear your Black Monday events. So like the whole tree is kind of dominated by this Black Monday concept. And you have two paths that you can go. You can either bail out the Juncker estates, or you can liquidate unprofitable assets. So this is going to cost you 5 civilian factories, and it's going to swap out one of your ministers for like. The minister's not bad, but the guy we've got in there right now, if you remember, is a 4% construction speed guy. So like that's kind of like for my position anyway, this is like a neutral swap out, but this costs you 5 civilian factories. Like these get removed. You don't get those factories. Those factories are gone. And this one over here, you get minus 5% stability. And these are 105-day focuses after this 35-day focus. So get some stability, lose that stability, right? Or you can lose some factories. And then kind of like either side, this side gets you more consumer goods factories faster. This is minus 20%, minus 15%. That's going to these aren't benefits. These are reductions to the debuff that you're going to have from Black Monday. So you're going to get more of your factories back faster with this, but over here you're going to get higher bonuses for the other things compared to this tree. And you're going to finish this. And kind of like the sticking point and like why the nerf that they got was a bit rough is that you have to finalize centralization or restore the Bundesrat before you can do either of these. And then before you can go down this point and finish your reforms, you're going to have to also have ZIP 3 PEC, or was it PEC 1, 2, or military industrial complex. So you're going to have to kind of come down over here, do this, then you're going to have to go do some political stuff, and then you can unlock this focus. And then after that's done, you can go, and you're going to have to go down to one of these economy lines. You can come back over here, and then you can do this focus, and then you can get rid of Black Monday. So you're going to be stuck with those Black Monday debuffs for a really long time is what this boils down to. So because we have to do a political thing first before we can select one of these focuses, you're probably going to want you're going to have to do one of these pretty early on. So kind of things to note over here. This is going to clear your quenched militarism national focus. You're probably going to want to do that. You don't have to do it immediately if you go down the democratic route. You just need the Easter promises for that. But if you want to go status quo, you're going to have to go organized youth and Easter promises before you can go down to Christian trade union. So, and again, your choices down here, you're going to get 5% factory output, 5% consumer goods, and a bit of stability coming down this route. So like this seems pretty good, but again, the economy ministers you get here on the authoritarian path are like, these guys aren't good. This is like a really bad government to have. Like these guys are pretty shitty. And if you go down the democratic side, you're going to have access to this if you kept the FAUD around. And this gives you 10% factory output, right? Like, that's pretty cash money. 10% factory output you can get over here if you go social democrat. And, social democracy is a joke, right? You hate having to play suck dem if you have to play suck dem. It's like a meme ideology. Nobody likes it. Everyone thinks you're a joke and they're laughing at you if you're going suck dem. But, guys, I got to say, 10% factory output, and if you look at it, like the guys you get when you're suck dem, over here, 8% factory output and political power, right? 8% factory output, that's pretty good, right? This guy's got the same thing as well, and over here, 4% construction speed, 8% construction speed, that's really good compared to this guy over here, which is negative 4% construction speed. So. And you get a couple other options too, like different political parties you can pick. But like this is like the big one. If you're going down the Democratic path, this is really good. And then the other one you can do is market liberals, and you're gonna get this guy Paul von Warbeck if you go a market liberal. But this guy again, this guy's like a really cool individual if you read about him and what he actually did in the First World War. But in terms of what he does for us in this game, he's like a mixed bag guy, right? 3% consumer goods factories for like as large of an economy we're gonna have. Like we talked about why consumer goods negative is so good for a large economy when we were playing France, and kind of consumer goods plus is also just as bad for kind of the same reason when you have a large economy. But his other bonuses are pretty substantial. You're paying 3% of your consumer goods factories, but you're getting You're getting 10% division speed, so your tank units are going to be faster. That's just relevant. You're getting 5% division recovery and 5% factory output. So you can go with that guy. And like those are like the kind of, for me, those are the guys that stand out. And I think probably we're just going to go suck them. We're just going to bite the bullet, and we're just going to play fucking suck them. I think that's going to get us in the best position. And then this right over here where you go paternal autocrat. This is kind of a meme route. Like I don't know why you would ever seriously want to pick that. I mean, paternal autocrat allows you to justify at 25% world tension, right? So if we're paternal autocrat compared to the other factions, when usually around like April 1937, you can start declaring wars. And if we want to play aggressively, there might be something that we can get out of that, right? We could like find someone. Like Venezuela is usually a good target. You can kill Venezuela and take their oil. Egypt is usually a good target during Power Pact War. You can get a lot of manpower and whatnot over here from Egypt for practically for free. Like these guys are a complete cakewalk to take out when they're at war with the Ottomans. Again, we've got bases around here too. We can make for like a play on Persia and try and get that oil. Like so, there's stuff you can do with that. But I think the problem with going that route, practically speaking, is like this is like another 356-day focuses that you're going to have to do on top of your existing 356-day focuses to even go that route. And like these aren't relevant to clearing the Black Monday debuff. And all this is going to get you is a flip to paternal autocrat. So like this seems, it's just too long. It takes way too much time to do this stuff. Like you want to deal with this as fast as possible and fix up your economy. And yeah, so like this is kind of memey. So aftermath of Black Monday, and again you have your two slots over here. Like this, losing 5 factories permanently sucks pretty badly. And like I was looking at this originally, and I was like, well, why would you ever choose to take this? And you could just take a 5% stability hit that you'll get back eventually, right? And again, stability doesn't hurt as much now as it used to. But if you do take this liquidated profitable assets focus, you get this Reichsarbeitsdienst or whatever this is in German. And if you have that, you're allowed to take the reactivate the Ludendorff focus before you're at war. So you can take this pretty early. 50% world tension. You might not get that before Well Creek 2. But you'll be able to do this 35-day focus over here and get your bunkers in the line, which maybe you might want. So I guess if you wanted to do that, then that would be a reason to come down the side of the tree. I think I'm just gonna go with bail out junker estates. And for this side, like if you'll notice here, like this is just negative 5% stability, and it doesn't say you get an event or anything. But I could be wrong about this. But if you're gonna come out over here and do bail out junker estates and get that negative 5% stability, like you might as well just go ahead and do your political stuff first, and then come and do this, not just do this, and then some political stuff, and then this. Because like, why take 5% stability hit earlier, right? So I think that's what I'm probably gonna do. Economy, you get 3 branches over here, and like these are all like pretty piddly buffs. They're like 1 factory, a couple of infrastructure, and they're short focuses, but you're not really getting that much out of them, right? 1 factory, 1 infrastructure, just like 1 bonus for artillery or infantry weapons. This is a production bonus for your equipment, so that's pretty nice to have. And this is you pay for the political power, which isn't that much, and you get 10% production bonus on tanks, which is pretty nice to have. Best in Panzer factories. So your choices are, you're coming down this, you're either going for Simons, you're going for Krupp, you're going for Mauser. You go for Simons, you're going to wind up with this focus over here, which is minus 5% consumer goods. Great. Max factories, also good. Construction speed 20%. Beautiful. Great. Economic boom over here. And again, this is like really significant buffs, but you only get them for a year. And then over here, again, we talked about that Panzer factories. Like I think ultimately this is probably a little bit stronger. Like you just build more military factories for that construction speed buff and your consumer goods buff if you needed it. So I think probably I'm gonna go for Simons and just come down this route, even though like the infrastructure is probably a little bit less useful than like the extra factories you get for going with Krupp, or like even like a bonus for infantry weapons, and like this over here is pretty good too. But I think we're just gonna go for Simon's favoritism and get this focus. Other stuff on the tree here, research slot, research bonus for industry. Research bonus for industry this early is kind of pretty shitty though, because like you want to use these to like get ahead. So if you take this and you rush this focus, you're gonna not be done your first industry tech. So you're gonna get 100% bonus in a tech that you're, it's barely even ahead of time in 1937 to get. So that's kind of if you take this early, you lose value on that, and then you get the research slot, and then you get some other stuff for radio and nukes. Like these are pretty nice focuses to get later on. Unfortunately, that means we will have to delay our research slot though, and again, our primary focus is going to have to be to clear Black Monday. Over here, you get some bunkers. We talked about this, either mobile warfare, grand battle plan. You get some free experience if you go grand battle plan, but mobile warfare, we want this tag bonus. So I think our strategy for a focus tree is we're just going to do this first, and that way we can start researching our tanks earlier on. And then this is going to remove our victors of the Well Creek Spirit, which we're going to, again, want to do pretty quickly. We talked about the air a bit, and again, this is like a really powerful focus, so probably you're going to want to come down this tree, even though the fighter bonus is over here. And Navy. This is a pretty interesting focus. You take this and you get a bunch of free Navy ships, so that's pretty strong. And the rest of the stuff, you get some dockyards, and you can get kind of weird ones over here, like 100 convoys in 40 days. Like that kind of sucks. And you can like build up some stuff in Singapore for German East Asia. Like a lot of these focuses, like compared to what you get in the French tree, like 40 days for 100 convoys is pretty low value. Then your stuff over here. So what's nice about these two is this is just going to give you a free Chief of the Navy. So you want to make sure that if you're playing Germany, you're not going to spend your political power to get a Chief of Navy before you're taking this focus, because it kind of dilutes that value a bit. And then like usual research bonus stuff. And then down here you've got your politics. Oil must flow. Like usually you want to stop Azerbaijan and whatnot from dying. So like I've never had like this really be relevant in the playthroughs that I did. And then over here, again, there's some pretty nice stuff after you're done with your trees and Black Monday. You get 3% factory output from this Middle Europa focus. And you can either go for Euro Parrot or Europa Commission. And then you get some research bonus, you get some recruitable population, like a couple other stuff. And these help out the guys in your sphere of influence as well. And you get, I guess you get some decisions to mess up Spain. If you wanted to mess up Spain, you go and do that. And then a couple things to do with Poland. And that's pretty much it for the focus tree. Like if this would be a pretty strong focus tree, like again, you got early research slot, you get pretty early tank bonus, you can get pretty early fighter bonus, and like you can just get a bunch of free ships for free. But it's really crippled by this Black Monday thing over here and how it kind of forces you to take some of these other ones that you might not want right away. They're kind of lower value. And you have to take them first to clear your debuff, so that is what it is. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to pick military expansion right now. For Natty Focus researches. We're going to want, we've got enough factories that we're going to want to keep on top of this stuff. So we're going to get this, we're going to pick up some extraction. I think we're going to go heavy tanks. We already have heavy tank 1, so we're not going to need to research anything over here. For air, I think because we're not going to get a fighter research bonus, we're just going to bite the bullet. We're just going to hard research this so we can have it and start producing it in time for Well Creek 2. And with this other last research slot, like again, it sucks that we're not going to be able to get onto our doctrine technology, but 503 days for a doctrine right now, it's just not worth it. So we're just going to go ahead and pick up mechanical computer. And for tanks, I think I am going to go with the heavy tank. And again, like if you look at our resource situation over here, like strategically, it's pretty safe to say like it would be very rare for us to be in a conflict with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. I think it can happen if Poland joins your team and they can do some things with Galicia and Lodomeria here over here. You can get kind of dragged into that war, but that's very rare. I rarely see that happen. So you're pretty much guaranteed to have this path open over here, and you get lots of chromium in Greece. You get lots of chromium in Turkey. Bulgarians have a chance to join the Moscow Accord, but they can also join the Reichspakt, and they're on the Reichspakt more often than not. So supply line to chromium is pretty secure, and chromium is of course for heavy tanks, right? You get lots of chromium in here, and like even if Bulgaria flips, right, you can get through the Austro-Hungarians and Albania, you can get chromium from Greece, you can get it from the Ottomans. And you might look at this and be like, well, you can trade for tungsten pretty cheap from Germany to Asia, right? 2-to-1 trades, Germany to Asia on tungsten, but if the Cairo Pact beats the Ottomans, and you have some unfortunate times over here in the Caucasus against Russia, you can get cut off if the Russians take this. Cairo Pact takes this stuff over here, and they get Persia in their team, and they go to war with you over the Suez. You can be cut off from all this stuff over here. And if you haven't beat the British and the French by then, you can get your convoys raided in the Mediterranean. And if your supply route gets disrupted like that, then it can take a long time to recover, and that can really cripple your production. So, and again, tungsten for Portugal, this is going to be on the other side of the Commune of France. So, like, Portugal might be unavailable for us. So we're like kind of in the opposite position as the French for that. And then, so I think we're going to go with the heavy tank there. And the Caucasus over here, like, I'm just going to like go ahead right now. We're going to take, I think we're going to go with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like 7 divisions over here. I think that should be enough. And we're just going to send them right now to send these guys over here into Georgia. And we're going to make sure that we want to hold the Caucasus against the Russians. And we are guaranteeing these guys' independence right now, and we have military access. So if Russia decides to attack these guys, we can get called in and we can help them defend. And the Caucasus against the AI are very easy to hold. Like, you look over here, there's one mountain tile in here that you can push through. And then there's if you hold here, there's only 2 tiles over here, one mountain and one hills, good defensive terrain. And then over on the Georgian side, you can hold over here. One hills. Plains isn't as good, but you can only attack into these tiles from one tile. So you hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles, and the AI can have like a really hard time breaking that position, and that's going to keep the oil in Baku safe for us and deny that to the Russians. So you don't really have to spend a whole lot to try and hold that. So I'm going to send some guys over there, and we're gonna try for that. I think that's how you spell that. I could be wrong. And then we're going to have to set up our east wall against the Russians. And then we've got, of course, our stuff over here. And this can there can be really few unfortunate flips here as Germany when you're trying to set up. The Netherlands can flip and join the Syndicalist team, which is pretty bad because it gives you like a wide open, like there aren't any bunkers, and like these are just plain tiles. So if the Sindies can attack you from the Netherlands, that's pretty awful. And the French can also pressure the Swiss to join them. And then this is a little bit easier to hold because you got a river or whatnot, but it's still, then your front line's even wider, and that gives them more tiles to push into. Like Mulhausen over here, it can become a pretty weak tile if they can wrap around the Swiss border and push into that. So we have to worry about that as well. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and set up our armies right now, I think. So puppets, these guys are our puppets, so we can like take their divisions, which we're going to want to do. And Ukraine is on our team, but they're not a puppet. So we're going to grab these guys over here, and these will be our eastern defensive wall. And I think I want to put 48 divisions on the front line over here with the French. Excuse me. So where did I put the? Those guys were this blue army. Oh, they're in the 7th Theater. That. I forgot to switch these guys over. So we're going to give these guys infantry with artillery. Stick them in over here. Yeah, 47. That's good enough, right? And then we'll deal with these motorized guys later. So we'll have these guys over here and we'll put them on a fallback line on the French border. and then over here in the east. So in the east, like you can kind of hold up here, like this over here is like there's only one tile you can attack through over here, and it's behind a river. This is a pretty short front line. And then if you get the Stalin line over here, like behind this river, and then coming around this way over this way, like this is a pretty thick river. And that's usually like the best kind of spot to try and hold over here. Like, and, you know, unfortunately, a lot of Ukraine over here, like if you look, these are a lot of, like, yeah, these are plains tiles over here. So like they can kind of just push into you, and this is like really rough to kind of try and hold. So I think with these guys, we're gonna go. And set up our line like this. Put those guys over there, and then when we get I think do we need this? Yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll give them another fallback line over here. Yeah, let's assign these two guys to that, and we'll go with that for now. I think we're probably gonna need more than 29 guys on that front line, but you know, that'll do for now. And then also, like from here, like we're gonna need more infantry. Like we have a big army, but we got a lot of front to cover. And let's grab another one of these guys over here. And the Union of Britain can also try and like meme us pretty hard. They want to come in and do a naval invasion. Sometimes the AI will do that to you. So, you know, again, like I said in the French video, you always want to garrison your ports, right? So we need 12 guys to garrison our ports. Oh, don't do that yet. Yeah, so we'll go with that. That's set up, and yeah, these guys are going to the Caucasus, so that's fine. And then our these guys over here, like I said, I think probably we're gonna want to just go with these guys, and we'll switch these guys over to our Panzer Division template. Yeah, so we'll do that, and then we'll see how we are with our logistics on that, and if we need more tanks, we'll start expanding some of these cavalry guys. Yep, and we will I think go ahead and start the timer on that. So, Constitution of the German Kaiserreich, and I'll leave this up on the screen so that you guys can read this if you want to. You can pause and read that. Yeah, so you know, we got a decent amount of tactical bombers and a decent amount of fighters, about 400 planes total. So I mean, it's okay. Unfulfilled import requests. I think this is like the Romanians immediately stopped trading oil with us, so that's fine. You'll notice now we're getting our oil rights from Azerbaijan. We got quite a bit of oil. Assassination of President Kerensky. That's again, that happens every Kaiserreich game. Voting rights and legation council. So this is just an event telling us about how the voting and the legations work. And we're going to get fruits of the open door, negative 5% consumer goods. So this is like a nice spirit to get right off the bat. And you can read that event here. I'll leave it up for this a little bit more, and you can pause and read it if you want to. I think for spies, we are going to go ahead and we're going to get our civilian intelligence. You get an operative slot soon. Totalist charter. I'm going to leave it up for a little bit. Military expansion completed. So again, with our national focus strategy, we're just going to go over here and we're going to get the get our tank research bonus first and start right away on our ahead of time heavy tank as soon as we can. And then we're going to go start doing some political stuff and then clear Black Monday. Edward again, Crown King of Great Britain. So that's nice for Edward. And, oh yeah, payment of the Brest-Litovsk reparations. So we're going to force the Russians to pay us some money. Some more reparations from when they lost. So that's going to piss the Russians off, but it's going to give us negative 10% consumer goods for a year. So that's great. And again, pause if you want to read this event. So enter kind of like the pre-war game with Germany. Again, you're building up. Volunteers, we can send our tanks in like we did with the French, and probably we can try and win in Spain. And if you want to, you can try and send some guys over here to Egypt and help the Ottomans win. But really, if the Ottomans lose, whatever. I mean, we still get Chrome from Turkey. The commies, the Reds are clearly set to spread their poison, as they have demonstrably shown during the last session of elections. We must be prepared for anything, and we'll get some manpower. So that's cool. Who cares about Afghanistan? That always happens. We'll see how they do over here. And oh geez, Black Monday. You can read this, but basically our economy's fucked. My God. Look at that. Look at that debuff that we're going to get, boys. 50% consumer goods we're going to have to pay. Minus 40% stability. Minus 30% production efficiency cap. Negative 60% factory output. Harsh. It looks like we don't actually get any construction speed debuffs, so we just lose all of our factories. So that's actually even worse, but there you go. Brutal. So this is good for us. Electoral gridlock in France. And if you remember last time when we were playing as France, I made a note there. Like if you click a bunch of different guys because you want these different buffs and they're from the different factions, you're going to get electoral gridlock. So luckily for us, that's happened to them. So they're going to be a little bit weaker because of that. We get our first operative. Let's see here. We want somebody who's going to be good at infiltration, probably. This guy looks pretty good. So does this lady over here. This guy's got like the extra trait over here. We're just going to go with recruit Tobias Lipfert as the first operative. And we're going to take him and we're going to start building an intel network. See, where should we go here? We're going to send this guy to Bolivia. Start building some intelligence in Bolivia. And I'll show you this, but a strategy that we're going to go for is we're going to start doing some infiltration on civilian economy. And the way blueprint stealing works, and you'll see if it panned out this way, but I'm pretty sure the way it works is if you already have all of the industrial technologies available that the other nation has researched, and Bolivia's one of those 2 research slot kind of nowhere countries. So if you steal a blueprint from someone who doesn't have any technology above you, it just gives you a generic ahead of time research buff. So you can steal blueprints from Bolivia, and they're going to have probably a horrible, they're not going to be able to stop us from doing that because they're so tiny. And then that's going to let us get ahead of time industry tech with blueprint stealing. So that's kind of the play we're going to go for there. I did that a little bit as Azerbaijan, and I've tried that as the Russians before, and it seems to work pretty okay. So we'll see if that works for us in this German Empire playthrough here. So we're going to get our first decision here to run on the banks. And we get a choice of pay a little bit of political power and a whole lot of stability. We can pay some political power, more political power and less stability, and have to pay 10% consumer goods factories, or we can just take a hit of negative 30% stability. I'm just going to close the banks temporarily. I don't want to take more consumer goods penalties than we're already doing. Yeah, so I was talking about, we can go and send some guys to Spain or whatnot, do some little volunteer work, and then depending on how the flips go, Poland, Lithuania can rebel, Kingdom of Ukraine can rebel, and I'm not sure about the White Ruthenians. I don't think I've ever seen them rebel, but Lithuania's done that to me before, so has Ukraine. I think the Polish can get up to some nonsense over here too. These guys can go syndicalist. The Belgians can have their own problems going on here, so you might have some early wars. And if those flips happen, you want to make sure you snip it right in the butt. You don't want to have another front over here when Well Creek 2 comes, and you don't want to have you're going to need the Ukrainians and whatnot to uphold this line. And if we get an early war, one of the things that you can do is we can grind out a general trade, and we're probably going to want to do that if that happens. So we'll see how this plays out. But that's we're going to do some volunteer work, but we also might have to come in here and fight some early wars. Black Wheat comes to an end. So you can read this event if you want, and it's just going to give us another 5% stability. So we'll go ahead and we'll take that. Yeah. So that's pretty rough debuff there from having those having negative stability. Minus 45%. So if you look on our factory output over here, like yikes, right? So we're only really getting half the output from these factories, but we still got a few number of them, and what kind of really hurts more than that, though, is we lost all that production efficiency. We're down to 20%, but what can you do? Poland declares a republic. So you can read this event if you want. It looks like the Polish are going to go democratic. So Austrian Empire withdraws from Italy, so they're going to get hit by Black Monday too, and they're no longer going to be, sticking their nose into these Italian politics. So there's that. So we've got our intelligence agency over here, and then we're going to want to go with blueprint stealing. Polish monopolies crash. So I think the Poles over here have taken some action against us. That sucks. We lose 25 political power. So feels bad. Not much you can do about it though. League of 8 provinces, so more China's exploding again. There you go. Like they're going to have their three-way gangbang over here. And Marshal Wu Peifu is back to King, so that's good for King. And King is usually pretty strong in this three-way. They tend to do well a lot. And if you want to get some experience in early infantry combat again, like one of these League of 8 provinces is a nice one. What the hell is this? So yeah, Wu Peifu turns on us, right? So League of 8 provinces, they're not like a client state, but we've got like some influence. And Wu Peifu over here is he's not too happy. If you want to read this event here, you want to pause and read it. But he's not too happy about German influence in China, and he's decided to back the nationalist King over the Germanophile Nanjing over here. So now the 25 political power, that sucks. And now their navies grouped together. Let's just take a look at our fleet actually, so you guys can see what we got here. So we got 4 carriers, and these are improved carrier hulls and experimental carrier hulls. So like these are deck size 20. So like these two are like really tiny, kind of insignificant carriers. Improved carrier hull. This is a deck size 20 as well here. So these they got deck armor and nothing back over here. So like again, these are pretty worthless carriers, to be honest. And deck armor here is pretty pointless. Like the armor here on 5. So carriers, when they're in the back line or whatnot, like usually they're going to get hit by stuff like naval bombers because they're so heavily screened in the back. Naval bombers, as far as I'm aware, don't even care about armor. They just do the damage directly. So like, why would you ever take this instead of another 20 planes? I don't know. So these guys are kind of shitty. We got 3 dreadnoughts, 7 armored cruisers, and our armored cruisers, like I think these are all the Mackinson class. Like this is a pretty good armored cruiser. Like it's got a level 2 armor, which makes them kind of better than a level 1 armored battleship. If you compare the stats, which I'm not going to do right now. I don't want to get too much into this because it's not really that important. Basically, what you need to know is we have like a really big ass navy, and we're going to death stack that navy, and we'll set that up closer to war, and we're going to swat around the British fleets. But 349 ships. 3 dreadnoughts, 7 armored cruisers, 24 battleships, 4 capital cruisers, 18 light cruisers, 184 destroyers, 105 subs. Because unfortunately our carriers are pretty bad. But otherwise, biggest navy in the game. I'm just going to set this up so these guys all go into our main navy there. Help start terror. So this is like unemployed people going out doing damage to buildings and stuff like that, and doing hood rat stuff. But negative 20% stability. It's not great. And what is our logistics situation like? So we're down 186 units of light tank. Let's try disbanding 3 of these and see if that fixes our account a little bit. Australasia just went democratic. Yeah, so 6 tanks. I mean, we are producing, some tanks, or none right now. Negative 102% factory output. That's pretty brutal. Financial troubles in colonies. So we can either pay some political power and pay 8 civilian factories for a year. We can pay 260 or 5 civilian factories for 260 days and pay 50 political power, or pay 150 political power. And you know what? I think we're going to help our colonies out. I think we're going to do that. Death of Pius over here. Pope's gone. Let's see who they pick. Agricultural crisis in Middle Europa. So this is like the Ukrainians over here. They're hit pretty hard, and they want us to, I guess, allow them to trade. So we can either choose to take even more stability hits, or we can protect our own peasants over here and get 20 political power. I've done this a few times before, but Ukraine's like stabbed me in the back anyways. Let's just help out the Ukrainians, whatever. I mean, like, our stability's like already in the fucking gutter right now, so. Grab this. First International Congress. And you see, it's kind of like, when you're this low, you do get 1.2% stability on a weekly basis. So that's, it's something at least, right? DKEB declares bankruptcy. So this is a railway we've got over here in Ethiopia. And this kind of affects Eritrea a little bit and what too. We can either keep it running for negative 60 PP, or we can just sell the railway. I'm just going to sell it. Syndicalist first move. Starting to coordinate their activities. I think that's talking about the International Congress the commies are doing. We're going to have to watch them. Yes, we will. But you guys over here are still working on our blueprint stealing. Alright, we got that. Can you add a Solf affair? Alright, so this one over here is they're alleging corruption in the middle of Africa, and they want to bring one of the old governors over into trial because, we did a little bit of unpleasantness, like a little bit of corruption, a little bit of torture, disappearances, and, stuff you got to do when you run a colonial empire, right? So you can read this event if you want, but, we don't want Middle Africa to explode, and we're just going to give him a free pass, whatever. He did some illegal land seizures and abductions and torture, but, whatever. I'm sure it was all for the good of the fatherland. Alright, we got Pius, I think that's the 12th. I'm not too up to date on my Roman numerals. Let's go check that out. Oh, paternal autocrat Pope. And do I want we need more upgrades so that we can recruit more agents over here. What do we want? Yeah, we don't have enough factories for any of this stuff anymore, so kind of stuck on that for a bit. Communard France shows its true face. We must be ready. Indeed. Yeah, so we need to get another operative. So we're probably going to want to get 50 political power and take this spy massacre event. Your decision. And once we do that, yeah, we can get that 50 political power from here. Might pick up 35 days, 5% stability, help out a little bit with this. Machine tools, and I think for our industry, we're going to go concentrated here. I think the reason for that decision is like our production efficiency right now is like so low, like just to get the extra output to let us start doing some stuff again, and it's going to be more important than dispersed. And when we get to tanks, we'll just be building all new factories on that anyways. We won't be converting anything over, so the extra retention is a little bit wasted that we'd get from dispersed. Costa Rica requests our assistance. Now the Costa Ricans, this can get us drawn into, I think, a war with Panama. But, you know, it would be nice to have a base in the Caribbean. Let's offer them assistance. See if we can get them into to our team. Suffragist movement gathers strength. Oh geez. To varying degrees, like this is like women want the right to vote and stuff like that. And I think if you have like enough, like because we're going to go down a democratic path anyways, you can get this, an extra 10%. If we get suffrage awareness 3. So I'm not sure specifically how much either of these increase. I mean, 10% stability. Like I don't know. When I played this before, like our stability is like fine by the point in time where we even want to consider taking this. So our political power situation right now is a little bit dire. So I'm just going to tell the women to know their limits. Armor breakthrough. Let's go ahead and grab our aftermath of Black Monday. Yikes. Again, this is like this has to do with the decisions we pick there. So price of doing business is helps out the Ukrainians a bit, and we're going to pay for that with stability. So our economy is pretty dead right now. Which is that's what it's like playing Germany, Kaiserreich mod. Construction, I'm just going to go right ahead into yeah, let's go right ahead into construction too. Or what am I doing? Let's I'm just being ridiculous right now. We just got our tank research buff. Obviously we get the tank. Yes. That was almost a pretty big mistake right there. Wasn't paying attention. Alright, aftermath of Black Monday, so we'll get that. Like, I don't think there's any reason to, jump right ahead and lose these factories right away. So I'm just going to try this Imperial restructuring first. And then we're going to go for Easter Promises. Probably organize the youth. This is going to remove that national spirit that's sucking up all of our manpower. And we are in need of manpower right now. Bulgaria has embargoed us. Nothing we can do about that. So they're trying to help their own markets. You can read that event if you want. Nothing we can do about it. Greece seizes German assets. Oh, geez. So, all the stuff, I don't think this actually helps us. It's just going to piss off the Greeks. And like I said before, we might need the chromium, so we're just going to let them be. You can pause and read this event if you want. Creation of the International Avant-Garde. So the socialists are going to do they're having some art show or something like that, whatever. Fucking Reds. White Sun over China. Someone's written a book about KMT struggle in China, so probably a lefty publication there. You can pause and read this if you want. Ethnic conflict in Sri Lanka. Son of a bitch. Okay, so this is a negative 40 pp event, and that's our colony of Ceylon over here is having a little bit of ethnic tension, and if you follow recent events in politics or whatnot, that's I think there was a flare up about that like maybe like a decade ago now at this point actually, but so that's going to happen. So when you're in a situation like this and we really want to become Spy Master, we need 3 branch upgrades first. Never mind. So we can't do that yet. So this isn't as important. So we can just click that now. But if we had the extra spy technology, and we're only 7 days away from that to get that political power. Or I think this would be 14 days. And you have like a timer over here, so you can like delay clicking on these events if they have negative effects, and you avoid paying that PP. But we wouldn't have been able to do it anyways because our political power growth isn't strong enough to be able to hit that threshold. But that's just like another trick you can do. So you can hold those events and just go into the negative after you've bought something with it, so you have the actual benefit that you wanted earlier. Got mech computing, and now I think we're going to go and get that construction tech. Well, yeah, we're not building anything right now, but when we get our use of our civilian factories back, we're going to want to be caught up on this construction tech. Let's see here. Wallonia has joined the Reichspakt. Maneuvers in the Carpathians. So the Romanians are going to go troll the Hungarians a bit here. Wallonia has joined the Reichspakt. Ooh. Dutch takeover of Flanders. Yikes, what's going on here? I don't think I've seen this before. Usually it's one of these guys tries to join France's team or something. So, during the independence struggle currently ongoing in Flanders-Wallonia, it seems the Dutch have stepped in and are retaking control over Flanders as agreed upon in the Treaty of Terneuzen. This is, however, an outrageous infraction on our Reichspakt alliance, and as such we can send them an ultimatum to either join us or die fighting. The Dutch are very likely to agree to our very reasonable terms, and it may even prove to provide better stability on our western border. Okay, so let's see, where's these guys over here? So we're gonna have to go and might have to go sort out these guys. And where's our tanks at? These guys over here. So we can either try and get them to join our faction, we can either declare war on them, or we can just choose to leave them and be like, this is unacceptable. We need to have this. We need to have this in our faction, like especially if France decides to go around Ludendorff and take these guys out. Just make sure we set our other stuff first here. So we got this. Let's do organize the youth and fix our manpower problem. And decisions, like I think this is just this pop-up over here. So let's we'll wait for these guys to get on the border, and then we'll send our ultimatum over. Like if these guys join the Reichspakt, that's fine. Send the ultimatum. Alright, and the Netherlands has joined our team. That was easy. Bullet dodged. And these guys can go back on to this order here. Alright, I guess I'll have to maybe draw a new one. FAUD. So the FAUD is the workers' union in Germany, and they're up to a little bit of no good, it looks like. So we can either throw them in jail, or we can allow them to continue operating, but watch them closely. So this is going to be 150 PP, but we need that to get this focus here for our factory output. So as much as you hate not to throw the socialists in jail, we need them on our side. So we're gonna have to just pay that PP. We'll get our 8 factories back soon. And we've got the Indo-Chinese War. So Over here in our colony of German East Asia now, it looks like the Viet Cong has risen up over here, and they're going to give our boy Helmuth von Mook over here a run for his money. And this is like one of the easier wars to win if you're a player, but the AI is really bad at doing naval invasions, and they're really bad at dealing with like this impassable ridge over here. So despite having overwhelming superiority, the AI just kind of loses this sometime, and if they lose all this mainland over here. And they're kind of just reduced to like North Borneo and Singapore, Malaysia, and like a bunch of whatever islands over here. Surely not model colonial subjects. You can read this event if you want. Like I said, I think I'm just gonna let whatever plays out in East Asia is gonna play out. Like we're probably gonna wind up at war with the Russians. Like even if these guys die, we're gonna have to push through Russia anyways, and then we can take out the Japanese if they decide they're gonna kill East Asia. And we can get rubber from our Ceylon colony, and we're not going to need their tungsten because we're making heavy tanks. And you can also get rubber from South America over here too. And the Internationale doesn't have a whole lot of bases over here. It's like this is usually pretty safe, and we're going to have enough destroyers that even if we had to do naval trade for rubber, like we could afford to pay that cost. And Manuel Carles assumes full control of Argentina, so good for him. Like Argentina can join our team, I think, as well too. So Sudan tag, get 10 political power. That's nice. So and again, early game Kaiserreich, a little bit dull, especially before the American Civil War pops off in March and the Spanish Civil War pops off. Union Syndicalista achieves Italian majority. Okay, so that's I think they're Orthodox. Yeah, Orthodox Syndicalists. At the Arab War, ooh, the Ant King lost this time. That's okay. And the Ant King has lost to Nanjing, so it looks like our guy over here, Marshal Chi, he's doing pretty good. So that's probably helpful. Like I think Germany stage gets some bonuses if he's still around. And Shandong looks like they're not participating in the sometimes like after this happens, Shandong will declare too, and this winds up being like a pretty big mess. But it looks like they've opted just to hang out in their territory there. So okay, it's probably good for us. And yeah, we're not going to change that color. East Turkestan declared war on Xinjiang clique. So yeah, I think we got that war last time too. So maybe that's just like a standard war that happens. Liberia asks for aid. So the Liberians are pretty close to Middle Africa. We don't really have any enemies over here. I think this cost me 50 political power. Like, I don't know. No, I don't need to pay 50 political power for Liberia. Like, we've already got a colony, like, right here. So it seems like there's, like, no value for us to bring Liberia in. This is going to cost us more PP. So let's do Easter Promises. Got a Concentrated Industry 1 up. It's nice. We're just going to go right into Concentrated 2. Yeah, and then we're going to come down to Democracy in Prussia and restore the Bundesrat. And like we got this over here, and our manpower is mobilizing again. So that's nice. What's going on over here in Russia? So Russians have also went Social Democrats. I think it's the second game in a row we've had suck damn Russia. I don't think that's really gonna help us at all. I think they're gonna be just as bloodthirsty as the someone like Savinkov would be when it comes to messing us up. And Nanjing has won, so that's again these are the Germanophile faction in China. So the longer they're around, the better for us. And let's see what's going on over here. So this is actually pretty good for. It looks like Helmuth over here hasn't screwed this up too badly. He's got like a solid front line. And yeah, so the German units are better than the Vietnamese units, so hopefully he is able to win here eventually. A lot of times they'll just do a naval invasion over here and just get a whole bunch of their guys killed, but this seems like that might work out better for him. Oh, there he goes, naval invasion. Watch how this plays out over here, this might be really good. But like a lot of the times, yeah, I'll just walk off their port, and then the Viet Cong come over here and take it back, and then all these guys get encircled and die. And usually that's what happens, it's like big sad, but the other thing that you got to watch out for too is I think the Viet Cong get an event where they pop a bunch of guys up over here, and then if they take this port, then these guys will be cut off. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Easter Promises is done. Okay. Do Democracy in Prussia, 10% stability. Oh no. Like as soon as I say that, it looks like he's abandoned his front line over here. What is he doing? Is he just gonna pull all of his guys over here? Oh man. Yikes. Integralist victorious in Brazil. So I think that's gonna. I think they join the Entente usually when they go integralist. So Brazil has got NAPOP. I'm gonna try and bring back their king there and resurrect their empire. Guns from Middle Africa. Sure, free guns. Take 500 guns. Especially helpful now, since our economy is like dead, right? Communard established a socialist anti-colonial committee. Oh, so I guess the communists are causing some bullshit in Morocco. Treason, plot, sabotage, indeed. Oh, wow, another event. Okay, take that. Yeah, let's just start training some of these guys. Create a couple divisions. Yeah, we're like in pretty desperate need of some infantry to start holding these front lines over here. So we'll have them drop over here, and we'll assign them to our front line. And over here, do these guys have any more troops I can suck up? Like that. Oh, these guys got nothing. But you guys, you got nothing. What's Poland doing here? I think as long as Poland stays democratic, like I think the ones you gotta watch out for is if they go nationalist, or if they go communist, or they got some problems. But I think Poland also gets the opportunity to join the Moscow Accord, and that can be real annoying because like Poland is already behind our defensive line, so we have to you're gonna have to shuffle troops over and deal with that. And I've had that happen to me before. Like I had a really bad nightmare game one time when like these guys flipped and these guys flipped, and Poland went with Russia, and like I had to pull troops from over here to go kill the Poles, and then this line is weak and you get pushed back to the Rhine. I mean, so that can happen, and it's unfortunate. But we'll if it does, we'll deal with it. These guys over here, I'm just gonna make these guys green maybe. Kind of match the color of the Russian border there. We'll do that. And these guys will make you guys red for the commie border. Italian democracy survives. So looks like the Italian Republic has decided to stay democratic. We're not going to see any NAPOP shenanigans. Hans von Sieg's funeral. So this is like the point where this our chief of staff here has unfortunately died, and Mackinson is going to retire. And our elections are in March, so we should be getting these pretty fast. Okay, democracy in Prussia, and then we're going to pick up the, we'll restore the Bundesrat. And then, like, once this is done, we can start, bailing out the Juncker estates and starting getting our economy back online anyways, and, we'll go down over here and go for that. So we lose our Brest-Litovsk reparations there, so we lose our, and now we have no oil, so, we're not trading for oil anymore, but I mean, we're full up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And you know what I think we're going to do here is I'm going to set a bunch of these dockyards up to be on repair. I'm going to actually train my, like, we've got like a whole lot of oil because we have oil rights from Azerbaijan. So I'm going to create a new fleet. Let's pull out all of our submarines here. You don't want these in your main fleet anyways. And I'm just going to select these guys and have them train. And we'll get some naval experience that way. And we might train these guys here too, just try and get some experience on our ships. Just see what that does to our fuel. Like, we're not using our fuel for like anything else right now, and we don't really have any fuel storage, so there's no reason not to, right? We get a whole bunch of oil, we're not getting any benefit from it, so we might as well train. Construction. Construction is finished, we're going to go with our machine tools. Louise Hoffman's Pacific Flights. This is like a female aviator over here is going to challenge the Red Baron to a race. And it oh, that's a different event. So she's gonna go for she's gonna challenge the Red Baron to like some event so you can fly around the world the fastest or whatever. So we'll see what happens. Like, that doesn't really matter too much to us. I think she wins that event usually, and that like helps with the women's suffrage movement. But we didn't play the political power for that, so it's kind of like a who whatever. So Argentina wants to trade, and you have a choice of either take negative 3% consumer goods, or we can piss them off and like try and extort even more out of them. And but if we do that, there's a chance they might go elsewhere for trade. So 3% consumer goods is pretty good. So yeah, let's just trade with the Argentinians. I'll take a guaranteed at negative 3% consumer goods with the Argentines. Conscription crisis in Quebec. So it looks like our boy Edward over here. Looks like he's decided to enact full conscription over here, and he's a SOCON right now. Okay. And we're starting to actually build stuff again. Build these rising up. So still some pretty hefty negative modifiers, but I mean, it's a lot better than negative 80%, right? Food from Middle Africa, 250 sport equipment, sure, take it. Congress of Cairo. So our boy Farouk over here is having this little powwow with his Arab buddies, and they're going to try and shank the Ottomans. So we'll see how well. Wow, look at this. Look at this, guys. Usually Jabal Shamar loses this war pretty badly, but it looks like they have. It looks like they're doing pretty good this game. They've pushed the Nedj back pretty far, so we might see Jabal Shamar win this. I feel like this is like a really long time for this war to have been going on too. Or no, that's not good. That's not good. Like, as soon as I say that, it looks like they got cut off there. So that's not good for Jabal Shamar, but Oh, they took Riyadh. Oh, they got Hufu? I don't know. I mean, this is like, oh, yep, ouch. Ouch. We'll see how that works out. We're in there. How is their boy, let's check on their boy Helmuth. Yeah, yeah, okay. Exactly, right? Exactly. So it looks like the Indo-Chinese had a little pop-up event over here, and, you know, they've taken that port. And it looks like our boy Helmuth might have got himself encircled here. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's like you look at this and you're like, how did you fuck this up so badly, Helmuth? What are you doing? Why are all the troops encircled, Helmuth? Huh? Huh? If this goes really badly, sometimes you get an event to try and intervene, and then you can control Germany stages troops. But like, usually at that point, it's already pretty late. But you have to pay 20 war support to do that. But we'll see if we get that event. Standoff in America. Okay. So that's set up for the American Civil War again. And it looks like standard four-way Civil War. So MacArthur has taken power. Okay, so elections of 1937. And again, like I said, we're gonna go with the suck dem. You know. Yep, we're gonna go with suck dem. SPD. So you can read that event if you want. Pause and read it. And yeah, here we go. Navy. So we're out of fuel right now. So it's kind of like delays our experience game, but you know we'll leave it. We'll leave it for now. New Reichskanzler. I don't know. I don't read German, so I apologize for that. So yes, obviously we want Otto Wels. So the army guy here is like alright too. Max planning is like those are nice stats to have, but like we're not at war right now, and this costs us 100 in political power to get. The current guy, like, you know, we discussed this. Like, this guy sucks. Like, I don't know why you would ever want to pay 40 political power to keep him. And Otto Wels is pretty good. Like, he's gonna give us bonus construction speed, and he only costs us a little bit of political power. So yes, obviously we're gonna pick the first SPD Reichskanzler. Bundesrat's restored, and now we're gonna start working on our trying to get our economy back online a little bit. And we have 100 PP. And I'm going to go ahead actually and recruit our head of it. You know what? We might get more value out of doing this. Yeah, let's just do this and get some... Yeah, that gets us 5 factories now that we can do. And with those 5 factories, I think I'm going to actually just go just do like a 30-day upgrade. Just pick something over here. I don't know. Let's get anti-partisan. You're always going to want that. And I think once we have 3 agency upgrades, we can get another operative slot. We got our concentrated industry done. Let's get our. Let's see what do we want here. And again, these are 132 days actually. We didn't clear that. Yeah, like why? This seems 132 days. You know, let's go ahead and get our first mobile warfare attack. 132 days. Help us out a little bit. I thought that would have been longer because we haven't done the new textbooks yet. New textbooks is this thing over here, and that'll. I guess we got the research bonus from our focus though, so I'm just surprised it was only 132 days. I thought that still would have been longer. United States declared war in Pacific states, so Second American Civil War is kicked off. Decisions. I'm not going to send any gun. Like I think I'm probably going to need my guns for my troops. Middle Africa declared war on Liberia. Well, it's our boy Goring over here trying to eat some Liberian clay. Okay, whatever, if he wants to do that. I don't think there's any real danger of Goring losing to Liberia. Goring is generally pretty incompetent, though. Costa Rica, so America's exploded, no more Monroe Doctrine. Yeah, sure. Well, I'll guarantee Costa Rica. Alright, we got anti-partisan. And does that give us our extra operative slot? We need more upgrades for that. Yeah, I'm not seeing one recruiting over here, so we might need a bit more. I think I might just wait for 50 political power to do that though, and start building our fuel tanks. Over here, not gonna do that. I think you're gonna want to send an attaché to one of these guys over here. Like what about the Pacific states? These guys like us. Might be able to get these guys. The Japanese ambassador becomes high commissioner in Shanghai. That's pretty bad for us. Like the Japanese are, well, it's bad for us, but like I said, it's over here, and like I said, I'm just gonna let whatever happens over here kind of lie as it happens. But the Japanese are not aligned with our interests in the Pacific. So you can read that event if you want. Democracy in the Philippines and Peru-Bolivia has been restored. So we're going to get, I think that happened in the last game we played with France here too, but we're going to have a thick Peru-Bolivian confederation. Does that cancel our intelligence? Actually, son of a bitch. Just steal from Ecuador, I guess, whatever. We need another operative. Commune of France is justifying against us, really. 37. Is this and okay, Costa Rica decided they want to join the Entente, so okay, that's fine. HOI4 over here. So like we're gonna have the option to potentially trigger a war with them, and like we're just not going to do that. Like the longer we delay this, the stronger we're going to be. So like I don't think there's a reason to try and challenge them right now. So the socialists are still sneaking around trying to spread their revolution again. Yeah, so these guys are all trained, so I'm going to have these guys stop. So did the Swiss just give them HOI4 back? Yeah, it looks like... I think they did. Okay. That's fine. I mean, that doesn't cost us anything. What we want over here... Like we're gonna get our first fuel tech. Like when we use our navy's pretty big and we got a lot of capital shit, so that can suck up a lot of fuel, even though we have a bunch of fuel rights there. We'll be ready. Like this is still acceptable. Like I mean, what's really bad is if the Swiss decides to join France. So Switzerland losing a province doesn't really hurt us that much, but if they get access, like I said, to this other front here to push in on us, that can be annoying. Got some guns. Dutch elections. The Belgrade Pact starting to move up over here. Order restored in Burma. Okay. What's happened over here? Okay. So Either guarantee their independence or I don't know anything about Burma. I think the Baharati commune gets like an early war goal to try and eat Burma. And Germany staged, yeah, oh gee, look at this. Helmuth has gotten all of his troops encircled. I think for sure Helmuth loses this war, and yeah, that's gonna make him a lot weaker against the Japanese. Like again, just AI frustrations, right? I didn't even get the event to even attempt to intervene in that, so we just had to take this one on the chin. Guaranteed they're independent. Oh shit! No, I didn't want to do that. Didn't want to do that. I want the other option. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. And the Belgrade Pact has. I really hope I don't get stuck in a war with the Baharati commune early on. They went Gandhi though. That's pretty rare too. I don't think you usually see Gandhi a whole lot. So I don't think they're going to be warmongering. I think you might need the totalist guy for them to do that. So I think we'll be okay. Belgrade Congress argues for new order in the Balkans. So do you want to support Bulgaria or avoid Balkan entanglements? Like I said, we don't want Bulgaria to join the Moscow Accord. So let's just support Bulgaria here. Sweden petitions to join the Reichspakt. Sure. Like, the Swedes can usually kill the Norwegians if they go, if they join the International, which they are often want to do. Goring has managed to beat Liberia, so it's good for Goring there. He managed to beat up the Liberians. What an absolute mad lad Goring is. Oh, we got Spanish Civil War. So we are going to want to send some dudes over to the Spanish Civil War. And in Spain, our guys are the Kingdom of Spain. So we're going to want to send... Which one of these guys are Panzer divisions? We got 50 LA tanks in storage. I'm just going to go ahead and disband these guys. Yes, we have the extra tanks available. Send volunteers. We will send you our tanks, and we will send you some planes. And I think I'm going to go and stop the video now. I think my recorder is going to run out of time soon anyways, and then the next video we can pick off Spanish Civil War starts. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.